Hi, it's Dre Griggs with Obsidian Wisdom. Today we answer the question, how do I build wealth when I don't come from money? When it comes to the habits that we have, we get a lot of them from our parents. The experiences that we have growing up, things that they exposed us to no surprise, a lot of people who are in the military are second, third, fourth generation of military. People who end up becoming doctors and lawyers, they were exposed to it from their parents, so they end up being multiple generations of doctors and lawyers as well. You find poverty to be the exact same way. If you grew up in a household of poverty, you end up being multiple generations of poverty. So the question becomes, how do we break that habit? How do we create a new legacy for our family? And the secret is wisdom. And I talk about the importance of wisdom in building wealth all the time. When you look at actors like Will Smith or Denzel Washington, you see that their kids are already in the industry. They already know the exact blueprint to break through and to make movies or to make music in any sort of entertainment aspect, making sure that they have the best managers and agents, that they know how to read the script when they choose certain things, to where when you have a parent who's gone through the experiences and they were able to absorb the wisdom, where wisdom is the idea that I have the experiences, I can make good judgments, and I have the knowledge of how to create a result that I want. And there's no better result than living through them firsthand. And you find the same to be true when it comes to professional athletes and sports. If you look at LeBron James, look at his son is having a very nicely paved path to be able to go to the college that he wants to and to be able to be drafted in the first round. Like, that is the plan. His dad already knows exactly what he needs to do to be able to do that. If you look at the Mannings with Archie Manning and his boys Eli and Peyton, he had the wisdom to help them become NFL quarterbacks. He knew exactly what it took. He knew the training and the processes and the techniques and the skills to be able to accomplish the results that they want. So when it comes to building wealth, if you have not been exposed to it, if you don't come from wealth, then you need to take the time to increase your wisdom. Now, that wisdom you can start by getting the knowledge, where you just may read a few books on building wealth, to personal finance, to stock market investing, creating generational wealth through trust and insurance, and really a whole bunch of different things that we have to be able to learn. Once we learn them, we then need to take action. Knowledge without action just ends up being more of a dream than a plan. And so if you want to be able to build wisdom, you have to first get the knowledge, where you start figuring out exactly what someone does. A great place to start is usually someone who has gotten the result exactly that you're looking for. If you're trying to figure out the best ways to make money in any aspect, then you should read someone who makes money in that area. You may find that it's not something that you're interested in doing, which is totally fine. But now that you know the path, you can then read someone else and find a new additional path that may help you to get the results that you want without sacrificing any of your core values. Now, on the other hand, once you have the knowledge and you take the experiences, a lot of the times you don't learn everything by reading the book. You have to get out there. You have to try it. That scientifically, things sound good. We're told that if we choose a certain stock and build a certain portfolio, that we should average a certain return over a long period of time, and then boom, you're going to be a millionaire. But you and I know that there are some nuances in there, that every company isn't a winner. We know that the stock market doesn't always go up. Yes, it may go up over the long term, but there are some dips in there in some of the years where we have to figure out, what are we going to do in a recession? We have at least one recession a decade, and that has been the trend for a while now. So if that's true, what should we be planning for a recession? And these experiences is what separates someone who knows what to do and someone who has the experience and the judgment of being able to say, I've been there before. I've made the decision. I've learned from my mistakes, and now I'm able to get the results that I want. I remember when I went to Nigeria with my father-in-law. We went for about 3 weeks for a wedding. And I had a great time. It was wonderful experiences. But because I went and I experienced things, I now know multiple things that I would do differently. I have gained a certain amount of insight, a certain amount of wisdom that helps me to be able to make better decisions going forward. Now, you may not know, but I had almost died because I had gotten malaria while I was in Nigeria. And I did not know. I remember when I was laying in bed, and once I had already been given the medicine, and I was healing, and I was still having like 100 and something fever, but I was coming out of it, where they weren't really worried about me overall. They just were kind of watching me to make sure. I remember the doctor being like, why didn't you take the malaria medicine? And I remember thinking, I have no earthly idea what you're talking about. I did not know that I was supposed to take this malaria pill a week or two before I head to Nigeria. Like, nobody told me that. But I guarantee you, when I go back to Nigeria, that I will definitely be taking the malaria pills ahead of time, because I have that experience. I have that knowledge. And now you, having heard that from me, you don't have the experience, but based on my experience, you're going to make a certain decision where you'll say, look, I haven't been there before, but Dre said you're supposed to take malaria medicine leading up to your trip so that way you don't catch malaria and risk dying. And as a result, you have that benefit now. To where most people that have wisdom, you find that people who are good with money, people who come from wealth, they have several advisors. They have a team of people that they engage with, that they explain the thought processes, and they share some of their wisdom. You have no idea how many books I read every single month on financial planning, on retirement planning and tax planning, and building generational wealth because it's my craft. This is what I spend all my time on. Now, granted, you could totally do what I do, and some people do, where you'll take the information, you'll ask me questions, I'll give you the answers, and then you'll go out and try to do it. And it'll probably work sometimes, and it may not work other times, but you have the knowledge, and then you gain the experience, and now you have the sound judgment, and you'll be able to do even better next time. To where maybe you'll say, you know what, Dre, I tried it this way, and I made small tweaks to it. And that is the same thing that all of us have to do. Now, when you work with a team of professionals, when they do it on a regular basis, their wisdom enables you to tap into hundreds of experiences, where it's not like you are trialing and erroring one time here, one time there, one time here, but it's like that person deals with a wide array of different people with different situations, and they're able to say, this is what we did here, and it worked very well. This is what we had to do there and what we thought, and it made certain changes. It's almost like if you enjoy cooking, so I do. I cook for my kids, and I really do enjoy cooking a lot, where you may read the recipe, and then you make it exactly as the recipe said. But then you try it, and you can taste that there was something missing, where you said, oh, I probably wouldn't use as much salt the next time I make it. Or if you made a dessert and it wasn't like really sweet, you may say, I'd probably use a little bit more sugar next time I made it. Whatever the result is, now that you have the experience, you're able to say, that's what's missing. I now understand the small tweak that I would make. Each of us, when we start out, we have essentially a recipe. Our recipe of life was given to us by our parents. And as we live and we go through experiences, hopefully we're making small tweaks to the recipe. To where, okay, my parents, based on their likes and their interest in the generation they grew up in, they had to make this type of recipe. This is the plan that they put together. But me and my generation, in the situations that we're going through, where we're dealing with globalization and different things overall, where you may say, based on the current environment, I should make changes A, B, and C. To maybe there was a point in time where everyone felt the way to create financial freedom was to go to college. But you and I know that now there are so many colleges that they're not all the same quality, and there's a little bit of saturation to where the college degree doesn't have the same oomph that we used to be able to have. And then when you mix in the fact that the cost of college is so much more, that when you talk to people who say, college is the way to go, and they maybe are in their like 60s or higher, there was a point in time where college was about $5,000-$10,000 total, where it wasn't this huge investment that it is now, where people are spending mortgages on college. And so you have to be very strategic when you go to college, because now you have to make sure it makes financial sense. So you can't get all the degrees that maybe they offer. Like, you probably can't take basket weaving. Maybe scuba diving isn't going to be something that you want to major in, where if you're going to go to college, you have to be very strategic as far as making sure you get the financial return that you're looking for. Now, I do know some people that they go to college to create their relationships, or some would go to college to find their spouse. I mean, there's lots of reasons that people go to college. So it's not all about the money. But if you're going and you're just looking at it from the financial perspective, then you want to make sure that the career that you're going to take makes financial sense. Generally, they say if you're able to take your annual salary and it covers, like 1 year of your annual salary covers the expense that it cost you to get that degree, then it's usually a good investment. And some people will mix it here and there, but you can decide for yourself. If the annual salary is $50,000, but the degree costs $200,000, most would say that doesn't make sense. If the degree costs $50,000 and the salary per year is $50,000, people would say that's a slam dunk. It makes a lot of sense for you to be able to do that. And then usually you make the decisions between there. If it's $50,000 but it costs $100 to get the degree, that maybe you would say, I'm going to get this promotion, I'm going to work my way up, and that's why it makes financial sense. But again, with that being said, everything doesn't have to purely make financial sense. There is financial reasonable that I often will adhere to, because It is a lot more than money. It's definitely more than riches. And so when it comes to how do I, someone who doesn't come from wealth, how do I build wealth? It starts with investing in your mindset, and that is where you build your wisdom. If you find ways to gain the experiences of the wealthy, if I told you that the wealthy often have advisors and a team of advisors around them, that if I told you that the wealthy tend to read at least one book a month, and it's not like a fun book, that they read books that have to do with their craft and getting better at it because they're trying to increase their value. When you increase your value, that's how you increase your overall worth. It's not about taking and picketing and striking. It's not about having necessarily like a salary your whole life, but this idea that I'm going to take the money that I have and then my money's going to work for me. And as my money works for me, now I can work for fulfillment. You find very often people who come from wealth, their children end up working a good amount of time in nonprofit sectors. Now, you may want to debate with me why they're in the nonprofit sector, but you wouldn't debate the fact that they are in there. Wealthy families tend to donate and volunteer a lot of their time because they understand the money is supposed to work to make the money, and then you work for fulfillment. You work for satisfaction. You can get satisfaction by helping someone. You can get satisfaction by reaching your potential where you're using all of the skills that God has given you to where you feel good inside because you're like, you know what, this is the gift that I was given and I'm exercising my gift. So there's lots of ways for you to achieve fulfillment, but you don't work for the money. The money works for you. And you find that people who have a scarcity and a poverty mindset, because they believe money is a scarce resource, they trade everything for their money, which leads to more poverty because the strings attached to a lot of the money that they're giving you, where you have to sign a non-disclosure here and you have outside business activity restrictions there, you have to work 20 hours a day, and where you're giving everything for the money and now you have nothing except the money. And you'll look and you'll be like, dang, that was pretty expensive. Like this money was very expensive. I no longer have the happiness, the fulfillment, the joy, the freedom, the peace of mind that you sacrificed everything for the money, because that's how the system is designed. The system is designed for you to believe that money is the most important thing and you have to do everything to get it. And then in return, the system takes everything from you and gives you the money. And that is when you realize, dang, I think I paid too much for this money. Because generally, what are you going to do with the money? You're going to use the money to do what? You're going to use the money to buy the experiences with your family, to create the protection and the peace of mind that you're looking for, to build the legacy and share your wealth and to support causes that you believe in. But because you traded everything for the money, you can't do any of that. Which is why you have to have a dash of wisdom when it comes to achieving your financial goals. Don't treat your financial goals like someone who's on a fad diet to where they're going to limit themselves to 200 calories a day for 3 weeks and they're going to lose a whole bunch of weight. But after the 3 weeks, when they go back to normal, they're going to gain it all back. You can't maintain a permanent financial situation just like you can't maintain a permanent lifestyle if you are torturing yourself to get it. If you are torturing yourself, if you go to work every day feeling miserable, then you're unable to commit to any plan I put together. You cannot commit to a 5 or 10 or 20-year plan because every day you wake up, it feels like a piece of your soul is being taken away. And what do you do to get your soul back? You go out and buy something. You buy something to feel a little bit of pleasure today because it's that difficult for you to wake up each morning. But if you were able to get the money and have the fulfillment and the lifestyle and the satisfaction and the overall happiness, now you can commit to a 10-year plan because you don't have to buy your happiness. And you and I both know you can't really buy the happiness. What you can't, and I always laugh when I say it because I think back to this comedian. He's like, oh, they say money doesn't make you happy, but have you ever seen someone frown on a jet ski? And I do always laugh because it is true that money can buy you pleasure is the distinction that I would make. Money can buy you pleasure, but the pleasure may not be that long, right? I find pleasure watching a football game, but I wouldn't watch a football game every day, all day, because then I wouldn't find any pleasure in it. That there is a balance between your pleasure and purpose levers when it comes to building happiness. And so as long as you keep that in mind, then you will be able to make decisions that will help you. And the first thing that you have to do is invest in yourself so that you can grow and expand your wisdom, so that you can change the habits that you have, so that you're able to change the results that you have. And the way that I often tell people to change their habits is write down the things that make you happy, write down your purpose, write down your pleasure, and then do those things every day. Find a way to do some part of them every day. Most people are unhappy because they believe once they have the money, they can do the things on the list. But I promise you, everybody, when they write the list, there's something that you could have started yesterday to been happier today. If you like the video, I ask you to like and subscribe, and feel free to check out other Wisdometric videos if you're looking for ways to eradicate financial stress, generate passive income, and build a prosperous retirement strategy.